Nobody from our generation is thriving right now. We are all struggling. And honestly, I'm tired of living through historical events. I'm done participating in this broken system. And every time I go onto TikTok, it's like one part dance video, one part war crime. Like we're watching World War III happen on TikTok live in a lot of cases. And I'm not buying into any of this bullshit anymore. They wanted division, and that's what they got. What would they do if we all stopped participating at once? To be honest with you, I think we should all just strike, and I think it's kind of subtly happening. Millennials are collectively just kind of opting out and giving up. We were told to do one thing only for the world to be completely different by the time we became adults. And we're burnt out. And the boomers wonder why. We don't conform to the idea that we have to commit to one company for the rest of our lives. We know these companies aren't loyal. We don't want to tolerate abuse just to pay our bills. No matter what we do, no matter how hard we work, we can't get ahead. Inflation and cost of living is always one step ahead. It takes 110% just to tread water, just to barely make ends meet. Sometimes we have to have more than one job in a lot of cases, more than one full-time job. All of our waking hours is going towards just putting a roof over our head. Most of us are tired of being gaslit by our parents' generation, and we're blamed for what we didn't cause. Nothing is changing for the better. And it seems that every day it's another tragedy. If you're burnt out by bad news, at least it means that you kind of care. Because if you didn't care, you would just scroll right past it and not give a shit. But honestly, all this bad news and all these tragedies, one after the other, are really starting to get to me. I'm kind of just tired of it. I remember when I was being bullied, no one intervened. I was told to pick myself up by my bootstraps. I was told to turn the other's cheek. I was told to empathize with my bully. I was given a bunch of bullshit advice. And for me, that was the beginning of basically not trusting the boomers. And boomers say that no one wants to work anymore. And you know what? They're right. Absolutely right. We can't think of anything that we would want to participate in less than in a job market that doesn't even pay us a living wage. We are a generation who was collectively left behind. And we all feel like we are not enough because society's idea of success is no longer possible. Boomers taught us to identify our self-worth with what we have. They were able to do that and have it work out. These systems were never sustainable, and we entered into a disenfranchised world. I want to define my value not by what I do for a living, but how consistent I am with my passions and the community that I'm building here on YouTube. And you know what? We're collectively tired. Millennials are tired. We are all depressed. It basically goes without saying we're all on medication. We want to travel and have fun, but we either don't have the time or the money. And you know what? We've honestly never given a shit. All the crash out music that we grew up with in the early 2000s was the canary in the coal mine. And honestly, guys, what was your favorite crash out song or band back in the day, by the way? Leave it in the comments below if you have a favorite crash out band. We are working 2 jobs and we're still not surviving. What is the point of busting our asses just to tread water? But at the same time, do we even have a choice? If you haven't had kids yet, you are at the privilege of seeing how awful it is for your friends. They're struggling to afford childcare. They're struggling to put food on the table. They're having baby mama and baby daddy drama. I mean, even having kids at this point is just feeding more slaves into the system. We've essentially been priced out of community because we can't afford to live or to go out or to do anything. We've had a housing crisis, a global health crisis, a job crisis, and a population crisis because no one is breeding. And the wolves are angry that the sheep have stopped producing. Yet the issue is avocado toast, apparently, and buying too much Starbucks or something. Like, what do they expect us to do, honestly? If you did everything your parents do, like I did, you're struggling right now. I guarantee it. It is harder for us than it was for them, but they refuse to admit it. You could have a house and 2 kids on $25K a year, and the income gap is real. Times are different. Times have changed. Someone needs to tell the boomers to knock it off and to at least open their eyes to what we're going through. People with master's degrees are drowning in debt and doing delivery work to survive. And we did everything right, according to our parents, and we can't afford to live. We are defeated, demoralized, dissociated, and a lot of us are choosing to opt out early. Crippled by debt, facing impossible housing costs, being gaslit by our parents, how can anyone not be crashing out? This collective millennial and Gen Z crash out might be a mystery to the older generation, but honestly, what do they expect? Like, how could it be any different? Only like the top 10% of people aren't having a mental breakdown right now. We were told that college was the only way. I knew that wasn't right for me back in the day. I had a gut feeling that this was wrong, but I didn't know what else to do, so I went ahead and wasted my time and money by following my parents' orders anyway. I honestly never thought that I would still be living at my parents' house at 32, and society told me to blame myself for this situation, but I no longer do blame myself. I honestly think it's a systemic problem. It's much bigger than me, and we don't know where we stand in society. We don't really have a stake in society at this point. It's not even our world that we're living in. We are collectively exhausted from surviving at least 12 different apocalypses within our short lives. And they keep moving the goalposts every time we get close to reaching a checkpoint. Boomers are paying $1,000 a month for the property taxes on their paid off big houses that they bought for $25K, while our generation has to pay $2K a month for a shit apartment in a shit part of town. How are we supposed to save for a house? Yet they somehow expect us to do this. I want you guys to know that you're not alone. I want everyone to turn up and crash out. Because, honestly, this world has been past its prime for a while. The great American experiment has fallen. The American dream was the boomer dream. We are not in the generation that can inherit this dream. We were born awake in a lot of ways. A lot of millennials can't have the American dream because we are awake. We see what's happening, and we know that it was all a lie. We've collectively decided to embrace our inner child, and we never gave up our childhood hobbies. Because really, the only good thing about our childhood was all the cool stuff that we got to have, like, our hobbies, Pokemon, Neopets, all that, at least for me. We're on autopilot every single day, and all we do is feel alone and want to give up. We want someone to tell us it's going to be okay, but that person is never going to come, and even that is a lie. We stopped caring a long time ago. If you told us aliens were real, we honestly wouldn't care. We've seen the world in so many times that we're done. Honestly, at this point, if an alien wanted to abduct me, I'd be down to go with them. Why not? I'll try a different planet on for size. We're stuck between boomers and Gen Z. Both of them hate us. That's no way to treat the mentally ill, to be honest. That's kind of a stigma. Kids these days don't even play house anymore. They play overpriced apartment with a greedy landlord. I've been in a crisis since 2001. Our quarter-life crisis was honestly inevitable. I mean, we got to adulthood and we realized that we can't play this game. The game is rigged. And we've been priced out of everything. We are too self-aware. We know what's wrong with us. We know what's wrong with the world, but we're not in charge and we can't fix it. We're also dying younger. For many of us, our friends are starting to die, and a lot of them started to die in high school and even college. I'm sure you know at least one person that died very young. Probably they unalived themselves, got in a car wreck, or it was an OD. We're on a floating rock paying for natural resources that honestly should be free. So what is the point? What are we working towards? And will we ever be able to afford what our parents have? Like, our lives are a literal joke at this point. Our generation honestly doesn't have to... Our generation honestly can't be the current parents, and we're obviously doing a terrible job at raising Gen Alpha anyways. My parents had a house and a kid at my age. I'm just happy when I can buy 4 bags of groceries without getting overdrawn. We go to work every day with nothing to show for it. Being an adult is shit, and being a child wasn't much better, honestly. The moment you save an emergency fund, there's an emergency, and it's back to zero. So fuck it. Why not just spend it? It's in my best financial interest to just drop dead now. My chance of owning a house is to play around and, play around a Monopoly. I cheer when the fertility rate hit an all-time low. People aren't exactly lining up to have kids in this rigged system. So no rational person is looking at the state of the world and saying, let's have a baby. And you know what? I'm here for it. People are literally financing pizzas in this economy. They're going into debt and taking out loans to buy fast food. No one should be having kids. Honestly. What is the government doing? Or what is the government going to do when we can't afford anything anymore? What happens when we're all homeless? The average millennial in their 30s has less than nothing to their name, while boomers could do it all and more on one income. Normal people with normal jobs have realized that they can no longer win. We have to do all of this work, like the work of 5 people, for less than a living wage. We can't get a house because we have loans. Yet we needed a degree to get the job in order to get the house. Make it make sense. The powers that be have gradually ruined the world for the rest of us. Like the frog in boiling water, we've just become used to it, and this is our new normal now. Late stage capitalism is like a power creep in video games. Our lives are so much worse than those that came before us. The payoff for our hard work is no longer worth it, yet we're the ones that are called lazy and entitled. We are all exhausted. It's been so many years since I haven't felt like shit. I've done everything to heal, yet I still feel like a broken adult. Our souls are sick, and we're trapped in this world that we didn't ask for, inheriting the problems that we didn't create. And we are the first generation that has no hope, no purpose. Most of us have been pre-assigned to fail. So why play a game if you are destined to lose? If you can't win, opt out. We know we are disadvantaged, and only 1 in 100 people make it out. And then we're blamed for being lazy, for being the 99% of people who can't, and the 99% of people that fail. School is just busy work. We demonize kids that fail and make bad grades. I failed math and I thought it was the end of the world. I guess I survived, but you know what? It didn't really make a difference in the long run anyway. My good grades didn't really amount to anything. We are then called crazy for not wanting to participate. I no longer care. As long as I don't have to work and all of my basic needs are met, I'm not going to. We live in a world made by boomers, run by boomers. When will it be our time to be in charge? I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. The fact that boomers are still running the world is completely unfair. They say we're complainers and call us every name in the book while hoarding all the wealth. We have been told we are no good as a collective and disrespected and disenfranchised, and then they wonder why we have given up. I'm tired of being blamed. I have literally done everything within my power to alter my situation, to be stronger, to be successful in the eyes of society, I guess, to become financially independent, and it hasn't worked. We were falsely advertised that college and our 20s were supposed to be the best years of our life, when in reality they were the loneliest for the most of us. And then we're blamed for this part too, that we didn't enjoy the best years of our life. The formula to success that we were sold expired by the time we turned 18, and we didn't understand the reality of debt and trusted our parents, and now here we are. In certain places, you need 5 minimum wage jobs just to make rent. Boomers could buy a house with 1 income. Millennial rage is a real thing. On top of everything else, we have no village. Community requires expendable income and a high-trust society. We are the first since the 1800s who has it worse than our parents. We are overeducated and underpaid. Boomers shit on us, yet they're the ones that created us. I mean, the lack of accountability is actually insane. They don't see that collectively this was their responsibility in order to prevent this. To be fair, I know that Gen Z has it worse, and I don't blame them for refusing to work because I'm doing the same thing. Our educational system is the worst educational system in the world, and we can't compete with the rest of the world anyway. We can't even compete within our own communities. Minimum wage would have to be $66 an hour for us to have the buying power of baby boomers in the 1970s. We are completely cooked. We were lied to about hard work. We can't afford eggs, and we will likely never retire. And they call it millennial fatigue. Boomers hate receiving the same energy back that they give out. They expect obedience, not respect. Boomer aggression needs to be studied. They are the entitled ones. Boomers also sometimes work to stay busy or because they're bored in retirement because they can't think of anything else to do. So many boomers are narcissistic sociopaths. The way we have been collectively gaslit and divided is actually insane. On top of that, we've been infantilized by the society, and yet they wonder why we don't know how to adult. Is it just me, or do boomers treat us collectively like we're still 9 years old and we don't know what we're doing with our lives? Yet wonder why we have never learned to function. When boomers are held accountable, their immediate response is deflection and blame. Arguing with a boomer is like rationalizing with a toddler. They use religion to justify terrible behavior and even justify abuse. They are called the me generation for a reason. They are the first generation of hyper-individualists, and now we're paying the ultimate price for that. Was it the lead poisoning? Was it the second-hand smoke? Was it the asbestos that did it? Accountability requires critical thinking, and we know how much they love that. Some of them even excuse the crimes in their own family and then blame the victims and protect the abusers. So many boomers abandon their kids at the age of 18. Boomers were lucky, not successful. Right place, right time in history. They misled us, and now they blame us for taking their advice. They are the wealthiest generation, and they know it. They make up 20% of the population and own 53% of the wealth, while millennials, on the other hand, make up 22% of the population and we own 5% of the wealth. Boomers literally spawned in on sandbox mode, and boomers say that hard work gets you ahead when it just gets you more responsibilities. Exploitation soon follows. Boomers grew older, but they didn't become wise. They think that having a house is proof that we have failed. When a job making twice minimum wage was enough to buy a house, that means that if I made $14.50 an hour, I would be able to afford a house if I was a boomer. That would be enough to buy a starter home. $14.50 an hour, according if we adjusted for modern times. We're not asking for a fix at this point because it's just too late. What we want now is just accountability for what they've created, and maybe just basic introspection and emotional intelligence, which we know they are not capable of. They mistake logical arguments with disrespect. They mistake facts with insubordination because it's counterintuitive to their worldview. And if they put that work ethic into their families and into their future into the future of the future generations, maybe things would be different. The life skills that we took for granted, that they took for granted and passed on to us, are completely obsolete. Narcissistic boomers have convinced themselves that they are not the problem and that their abuse isn't abuse at all. In a strange way, boomers are naive. They trust institutions and politicians and even scammers. The past is a foreign country that we cannot return to. They grew up in a utopia and didn't need to be skeptical. They are now foreigners in a country that they think they understand. They fell for every psyop, and now their ego is committed to sunk cost fallacy. They don't realize that they destroyed the high trust society that they knew growing up. They grew up in a time of plenty, and I think it was because of their own, and then they think it was because of their own merit, which it wasn't. They voted for a world that we are not allowed to inherit. They got to know America in her prime, and we got the husk of what remained. They can't get on par with how fast society has changed, and they can't tell AI is AI. Lobsters that become dominant in their youth don't develop the part in their brain that triggers anxiety because they don't need it. The baby boomers are this dominant lobster. In their day, the heroes wore white and the villains wore black. They still have this naivety, and this is very similar to a sheltered child. Arguing with a boomer is like arguing with the mainstream news talking points. Many of them even trust police or the government. They fell for the lies, and we inherited the truth. A liar believes everyone lies. An honest person believes that everyone is honest. This is what keeps them naive. The part of their brain involved in skepticism never developed. Too bad they never paid it forward. We have realized our elders are a bunch of idiots who don't know what they're doing. They just blindly trust everything. When your whole life has been handed to you, you tend to lack character development. They believe they know best, yet they fall for every scam. After their parents rebuilt the world after World War II, they didn't understand how fragile that prosperity actually was and took it for granted. They take questioning authority as a personal attack. But apparently, avocado toast and Starbucks is the problem. Boomers are now facing homelessness at alarming rates because they didn't keep up with the times and they thought that the prosperity would last. They thought that they could just keep living like this forever. Ha! Joke's on them, I guess. Boomers with 2 houses be like, do you have a senior discount? I'm on a fixed income, sis. Like, their property taxes are less than the average rent at this point. The biggest difference is that they were rewarded for their hard work. We are paying more and earning less, removing the incentive to work. Even when boomers struggled, they had something to struggle for. We struggle, and we still can't even afford to survive. Boomers climbed the ladder of success and then pulled it up behind them. When we say how much things have changed for the worse, boomers say that's just called being an adult without seeing that the game itself is no longer the same. U.S. minimum wage in 1971 could buy 1.82 ounces of gold per week, or $6,000 today. Their struggle is not our struggle. Even their struggles were on easy mode. And even if they never intended to make the world the way it is, the lack of intent does not mean lack of impact. And then we are left to pick up the crumbs and suffer the consequences of their choices. Millennials and Gen Z, honestly, we don't have any other choice but to crash out. Our entire life has been one damn thing after the other, and I don't know what else anybody expects us to do. I can't imagine what it's going to be like for the future generation. They say that the new generation is Generation Beta, and I really don't know what the world is going to have in store for these kids when a box of eggs is going to cost like $12 a dozen. I really don't know how anyone's going to make it. America has fallen. We did not create a sustainable society. We did not create a slow growth society. We created a rapid growth society. And when there's a rapid growth, there's usually an equally rapid crash. And we're living it. We have to be that generation that, unfortunately, we were supposed to be the hero generation, but that didn't work out. We're not in power. We have no resources. Collectively, we don't own any of the wealth. And that's all I got to say. So if you're a millennial or a Gen Z or even a Gen Xer, leave a comment on this issue. I'd like to hear your take on it. My name is Shelby. I exist and I make stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.